Tierra, hey there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I was flying back in for the last class, so I wasn't able to attend. I'm back in Georgia now, so I'm good now.
Where you coming in from?
New Orleans. I was working the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right. You attended it too, right?
I wanted to, but I was exhausted, so no, I didn't attend.
Okay. So you did all the pre-Super Bowl stuff then.
Yes.
Okay. I know it was a lot of fun. I know it's tiring though.
Yes, it was a lot. It was something that I'm definitely going to add to my resume.
I bet. All right. So we're coming down to the end of this thing. I hope you've been able to keep up and get a lot out of it.
Yes, I've been for the last two the homework that I missed when I was at work when I was in New Orleans, and then when I was flying back, I did both of those and I submitted it. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I submitted it today, but
Okay.
I pretty much got everything down.
Okay, I'll review it tonight or tomorrow morning. I've been pretty busy today, so I haven't been on my email all today.
Okay, and then I wanted to book a 101 as well.
Okay. All right. I will not be. Let's see here. I will. Let's see my schedule. Yeah, I'm pretty available. I'll be leaving on Thursday. I won't be back until. So yeah, I'm available this week, but next week I will not be available on Tuesday or let's see on Tuesday. Let's see when I get back here. I won't be available next Tuesday, the 25th. So I have to block that date off. But yeah, I got pretty much good availability after that.
Okay.
Hey, Jamise.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you?
Doing good, thank you.
Wonderful.
Hi, Miss Neve. Hello, Miss Annette.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. Happy Monday to everyone. Let's see. Make sure we don't have anybody. Oh, Tashina. Did any of you all receive your emails? I was mentioning that you should look out for. Oh, okay. All right. I have not heard back, so I'll just be patient. I want to make sure you all get loaded up in the system with the Urban League. So I will check in again.
I'm going to go on mute for a minute. I got to have a quick
Of course.
Okay, cool.
No worries. I'm here for you. Are you all getting ready for Market Day? It'll be here before you know it.
Market Day is. I didn't see Market Day.
Yeah, I think that Coach is going to share the dates tonight, but we passed halftime. We in the third quarter now, fourth quarter next week, and then we'll be rounding out the fourth quarter. So you all, next week is week 5. This is week 4. So you really only have 2 weeks. So I know you all are excited about it, but he's going to share the delegations in terms of when you present. So I'm excited. I can't wait to hear.
Yes, I got to book my 101 so I can make sure that I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Be careful, Miss Tashina King. I see you driving.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your commitment. We are Miss Strickland. Okay, good. I was talking about Market Day.
Good evening.
So
I need to put all my ducks together in my executive plan. So that's my mission this week.
Okay, I hear you. You have made it plain. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It will happen and you'll be fine. This is just to get the feedback that you deserve to get ready for showtime, which is right in your future. So,
and will this be in person or will it be virtual?
Virtual. It will be virtual.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Make it easier for everyone. We are considering, perhaps we had in the past had a presenting in person, but I think Coach Stephen has decided that we will continue to have it virtual here. And you'll have some SMEs to give you some feedback in different areas. So it's just a good time. I think you'll enjoy it. Graduation is in our future.
Question.
Your future.
Is the
Yes.
presentation to Urban League going to be virtual as well?
No, so when you all go through, and we are strongly recommending that you take some of their courses as well, just to get you prepared and prep. But no, this is the pitch with the Urban League. That contest is in person.
Okay.
Yes, in front of a big screen with 5 sharks and the whole. Now it mimics the Shark Tank all too well.
Okay.
Yep. And Miss Moore, you have your business in Cobb?
I do.
Okay, awesome. Remember, these are from our. All right, Coach is back.
I am back. Let's see. Do we have any more people needed to be admitted in?
Nope,
I
I let
think-
them all in.
All right. I think we're good.
Except
All
for
right.
the notes.
All right. Well, happy Monday, everybody. Once again, as I said last week, we are in week number 4. And we got 2 more weeks to go. And next week will be the conclusion. We got a couple of speakers lined up for you next week. Sabrine Francis, he's going to talk to you about tax tips on next Monday. And then we have Warren Galloway, who's going to talk to you about finding the money, talking about micro lending, how to get the money. And so that's going to be on the following Wednesday. And then we actually going to have, as Jamise hinted at earlier, we're going to have not 1 but 2 market days so that we can really be efficient at our time and ensure that no one feels like they're, staying here beyond 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So we're going to do 6 people on Monday, March the 3rd, and then the remaining 6 of the 12 on March the 5th. And I'll give you all the lineup tonight. You'll see a slide on that. And I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen and we'll get to that. Let's see here, share this. So we have an exciting evening. We also have a speaker tonight who's going to be talking about digital marketing. Let me
I have her for you talking about.
Tonight we're going to have Vince Dorville.
Oh,
when we talk about digital marketing, and I know you're going to have a speaker that's going to talk about it again Monday.
Okay, social media part.
Yep,
Thank you,
media.
Coach.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So they're going to see marketing. I think I always talk about it. I said the marketing session, which we had last week, a week before last, session week 3, was my favorite session because we really need to not only know who our target markets are, but how best to get to them. And the more you become attuned to not only understanding the back end of the digital marketing, but also the front end, both sides. Who you marketing to, what's the best way to market to them, but also how can you gather data on the success or lack thereof of your activities, of your strategies. And so you're going to get hit multiple times. Tonight, we're going to talk about marketing objectives. What do you want to be communicated through your marketing? That you're the best of something, that you're the swiftest of something, that your concept is so attractive. What is it that you want communicated from your marketing objectives, right? And then we're going to talk about some of the promotional strategies that you can contemplate. We're going to end that, and again, I'm going to say this again, but tonight we're going to talk about marketing objectives, and then we're going to have some digital marketing information that Vince Dorville, who's also a consultant with Greater Wealth Works, I want you all to see him, get to know him, so that you all can start scheduling some time with him because he's going to become one of your best friends. All right, so let's get into today's session. Once again, business marketing objectives, and we're going to talk about promotional strategies. How, what are the different types of promotional strategies that you might contemplate? And then I will, if time permits, I'm going to show you all an Excel spreadsheet on how we can actually track not only what our marketing strategies are, but how much they may cost us, so we can start building a budget for that. All right, so we're going to talk about that. So that's what the workshop is going to do for you. Again, the conclusion of this, at least my session, my 30, 45-minute session that I'm going to have before events come up, is to once again show you how best to articulate, at least a best practice, how to articulate. By the way, did we start the recording? I'm not sure if that was done, Jamise. If not, I can quickly do it.
Yes, it automatically turned on. We've been recording since we've been on. You're good to go.
Okay, great. I didn't see it come on. Okay, so how best to articulate your marketing objectives and how to start understanding the ways that you can leverage digital marketing as one of your campaigns. All right, so we're going to kick off the day showing you the market day lineup that I spoke of a few seconds ago. Then we're going to go do a session 6 review. We talked about your SIC code. You all probably, at least those that were here last week, was probably excited about understanding yours, or at least learning more about your SIC code and how we can leverage it. Your industry classification code, standard industry classification code. We will talk about, again, you understanding why it's important to understand your industry overview. At some point, you want to lead your industry. The fact that you want to create a competitive matrix after you have decided who's going to be your primary and your secondary competitors, as well as just mention again the source, the database source, Reference Solutions, Reference USA, as they formerly used to call themselves, and make sure that you feel comfortable using it. You can always schedule a one-on-one with me if you want to review it. If you're having any issues getting into it after you've accessed it through your library, or if you're having some library issues, maybe your county library doesn't have the database, we can find out some other ways that you can maneuver around. Then we're going to get into again the subject of today's presentation, marketing objectives. We're going to talk about how your business mission need to interact with your marketing strategy, that interacts with your promotional strategies, so that we can get to your target market. So your marketing objectives are vitally important, so that your target audience actually sees and feel what you're trying to communicate. And then we'll hand the mic over to Vince Dorville, and he's going to talk about digital marketing strategies. All right, here we go. So market day 1 pitch lineup. Market day 1 on March 3rd. T will kick us off. Then we're going to go and have Sparkle talk with us. Then Daryl, Sadia, Tierra, and then we're going to end the evening with Annette going over her business. Excuse me. On Wednesday, March 5th, we're going to have Kimberly kick us off. Then Tavia, Renate, Venice, Tashina, and then KJ is going to conclude us for that evening. Okay. If you have any issues with the day that we have you on, just send me an email. And so let's see if we need to switch you out with someone who don't mind switching days with you if that's the case. All right. So that's the market lineup. You all will, again, as always, get a copy of this presentation with the lineup noted in there, so you don't have to forget that. All right. All right, here we go. We are just moseying on down the line on this list. Where are we going? Where are we going? I always started that off on week 2. Where are we going? Well, your business model, we've talked about that. Most of you all have submitted your homework so that I can see and give you some feedback on your business model, your business concept, your market need. That was all done in week 2. Week 3, we talked about your management and target market. And week 4, we started off talking about, well, actually, we talked about competition last week as well. And so here we are, marketing objectives. On Wednesday, we're going to finalize this area and talk about your operations and funding needs. So you will have everything and all of the homework provided, all the examples given to you 2 weeks before, at least a week or so before your, actually, well, 2 weeks before your presentations. All right, so you have plenty of time to be able to provide homework so we can give you some feedback, so you can feel comfortable in how you are going to articulate your areas of your business. All right, so that's where we're going. So the homework we asked you to do last Wednesday is to review your competition profile. Once again, leveraging the strategy of answering several questions using 2 to 5 word answers, and then taking those answers and drafting out 2, 3, 4 drafts before you decide to finalize that draft for your business executive summary profile. Looking at office leverage, they answered the questions for the competition area. Who is your direct competition? Which of your competitors sell exactly what you sell? And their answer was Corp Train, Training Horizons, and anyone who provides on-site training. The next question they answered was, who is your indirect competition? Which is the person or companies that sell products that could be used as an alternative to your product. And their answer was online tutorials, self-help books, help desks, and computer technicians. And the final question that they answered was, what is your competitive advantage? And I'm sure they probably went back to review what they wrote for their business concept, because that in essence is their competitive advantage. And so the answer is flexible to customize requests. They feel that they will be attractive to their target audience because they have the ability to be flexible in customizing the training requests. So they took those answers, put them all together, and creatively came up with some paragraphs and some sentences that meted out what their profile should be. So here is what they said. Ultimately, they answered the question, who is selling what you are selling? Who is my competition? Corp Train and Training Horizons are direct competitors that offer a broad catalog of training classes catering to corporate employees. They have franchise locations in Southern Georgia. Regional seminars and skill trails are national providers that host workshops at hotels, which enable them to be in just about any location. Now, our advantage is the flexibility to customize our training format to meet the varied needs within small to medium-sized businesses. We focus on designing curricula that may be applied immediately to improve work assignments. Our indirect competition stems from training provider directories, free and paid online tutorial websites such as 5minute.com, and Microsoft corporate website, Microsoft Office knowledge databases and support forums, and pay-per-call help desks. So that is how they took those answers using 3 to 5 word answers over 3 questions and came up with who is selling what they're selling and who are selling something that can be an alternative to what they sell, as well as noting what they felt their business advantage, their leverage, their essentially their business concept, how it differentiates with the competitors. So the question is, what are your competitors, or who are your competitors? I'm not going to ask you guys to answer that question because we've got a pretty full evening. But that is what we want you to be able to articulate. And you can certainly think back once again to when you first thought about starting your business. A part of it was the empathy that you may have had for the fact that their clients can't either go to a great resource to get their solution handled. Get their problem handled with a good solution. Or you know that there's competition out there and you felt that you can do it better, whatever that better is. Who are they? Who did you contemplate? Just go ahead and do a tick mark on a piece of paper. Just brainstorm. And at some point, you're going to come down from, you may have 10 or 15 listed. Come down to figure out who is around my size, who is around my area that I'm intending to, promote my business in. Who have exactly what I'm selling. Even if they're selling more than what you're selling, who is selling what I'm selling? And from that, you should be able to answer these questions and similarly design a paragraph that answers those questions. All right, so then we talked about reference solutions. Again, a database that can help you find those competition for folks and find and learn information about them. We went through the database, and I showed you how you go into your library, go through your library. They typically will have an online or e-library drop-down button where you can find reference solutions or reference database, reference USA. From that, you'll click on it. You may have to, again, put in your library's password or your library information just for it to open up. And once you open it up, you're going to have a series of databases that this firm has. The first database is what, again, we want you to be to pay attention to, which is U.S. businesses. Once you click on U.S. businesses, it's going to open up to this defaulted screen, which is defaulted to a individual search, which is called a quick search. That is if you're looking for a particular business in a particular area, and you know this. But in our case, because we're looking for multiple competitors, we're going to hit custom search. And when you hit custom search, you're going to see the screen that we were working on. On this screen, there's two areas that we want you to put a check mark in so that we can use for our searching mechanism. The first one is going to be SIC codes, and the second one is going to be geography. And when you input that information in, it's going to allow you to have on the right side of it two pop-up areas where you're going to input a keyword to find the SIC code that you felt is best for you. And then underneath that, you're going to find a drop-down button for inputting the geography. Typically, I like to use county. Everyone in my county that I might be doing business in. Some of you all may have online businesses, so you might look to highlight or do some marketing in areas maybe outside from where you live in. But again, this is how you want to find your competitors that you feel that's going to be the top competitors for you. Once you input that information, you hit view or go. It's going to open up and provide you with a listing of potential competitors. You can click on them and see some information about them. They're going to have a series of areas where you can find out what we call their location information, their business information, the type of SIC codes they're using on access codes. You can find information about how much money they're making, the location information, the competitors report, even businesses that are nearby, which we talked about. The business demographics was probably the most interesting area that we opened up because it spoke about how many employees they have, which really is helpful for you to determine if they're a competitor of yours or not. Because if they had over 100 employees or over 30 employees, maybe they're not. Maybe they're more of an indirect competitor to you because of just by their size. You may decide that, not me. If they have 1 to 5 employees because you have 1 to 5 employees, meaning you being the number one, then there may be more of a competitor of yours. Then you're going to look at the location volume of, sales volume. That tells you how much money they've made since the last time they updated this. That might be inspiring for you when you see maybe 1 to 4 employees and they made $200,000. They've been in the system maybe 3 years or 4 years. That might say, man, this is a really good market. It's a hot market, right? So again, it gives you some great information. Now, when you click on some of the competitors that you see here, not all of them are going to give you how many employees they have. Not all of them are going to give you their location sales volume. Sometimes, for whatever reason, the information is not available on certain companies. I always stress, I'm not exactly sure where Reference USA, Reference Solutions, where they get their information from. I'm sure they purchased it from some resource or resources. I'm not sure how accurate the information is, but the purpose of all of this is to motivate you on seeing how well your market is doing. It also is to give you an insight on the type of expenditures that some of these competitors are having, as well as, again, how many people are working with them, right? Meaning, how many employees should I start looking at bringing on at a certain point in time so that I can really ramp up my business opportunities. All right. So once you really get a good idea of, who your competitors are, you can develop a nice little spreadsheet. So again, I meant to mention that you can obviously download your results and put them in an Excel spreadsheet, and you can start to delete information that you don't really care about and just keep the information that you need or you want. In this case, if I was to develop this particular slide, I'll say I just want the company's name. I want to know how many employees they have. I want to know their sales volume, and then I can use Excel to do some arithmetic or do some mathematical equation solutions for me. In this case, this party supply rental company, maybe they were in Fayetteville or let's say Decatur, and I found there was 10 of them in the area. And maybe there's more, but these, some of them may have been, 30 or 40 employees. Well, I decided I'm going to, 10 employees low or below is all I care about. And when I do that, I'm going to say, wow, these 10 businesses all together, if I add up all their money that they've earned, it's $13.7, almost $13.8 million. That's the market for party supply rental in this particular area. That's the market. 100% of it for, in this example. So if I want to find out based on how much everyone made, how much they made last year, what percentage of the market do each one of these companies have? Well, I'm going to take the total amount that the customers of all of them paid out, $13.8 million. I'm going to divide that by the amount of each sales volume for each of these companies. It's going to let me know what percentage they are to that 13.8, almost $8 million. In this case, it let me know that it's my party rentals with $785,000 of sales volume. Regarding as it relates to the 13.79, they are 6% of the market. Cool Daddies is 2% of the market. Bargain Bouncing Party Rentals has 8% of the market, so on and so forth. So when you start looking at what percentage of the market your competitors have, it really helps you focus on learning more about those that have the highest percentages. What are they doing? What are they selling? Where they're located? What businesses are around them? How long have they been in business? How many employees do they have? It gives you some information to say, I need to learn more about the winners, because at some point I want to have the flag and walk with the flag and be the top percentage, getting the top percentage of the market in that particular area at some point. So that's why getting this research done and looking at your competitors is so exciting. It's so motivating, and hopefully it's simple enough for you to understand how to do it. Once again, we are always available to walk you through this separately. So just make an appointment. So the question here is market opportunity. How much of the market do you want to have? And how long do you want it to take for you to get it? How much of the market do you want to have? How long do you want it to take to get it? Last thing I'm going to say about this is if I was to take these 10 businesses and just divide that 10 businesses by the total of the market, that $13.8 million, that tells me the average amount that a business should go after because of what the market, the number of people or the people that are buying party rentals is $766,000 is that average amount of the sales. So if I'm putting together my vision statement for the next 2 years, do I want it to be $766,000? Do I think I can grow my business in 2 or 3 years to that amount? If not, that's fine. Maybe I want to grow it to maybe a quarter of that, maybe a half of that. But I have a reason why I want to have my vision where it is, because I might feel like I really can tap into the market. Without having this information, it's harder for you. It could be harder for you to gauge how big your business really can grow and how fast it can grow. So that's why I really, really want to harp on you knowing who your competition is and finding some things about so you can really help you guide your business. All right. So marketing objective. I have about 15, 20 minutes just to talk to you guys about this before Vince. He should be popping in a couple minutes to listen to us. So marketing objective. As I mentioned, at the beginning of the class, you have created a mission statement at the beginning, starting with day one. Your first homework assignment, your second homework assignment in week 1 was asking you, what is the mission of your company? However, the first homework assignment was asking you, who's your customer? What is their problem? What solution you're looking that they will be attracted to? And then what your revenue is, right? That was your business canvas. So the solutions typically is the mission. So we did that homework assignment so that your second homework assignment asking you what your vision is, your mission is, and what your values are, you already can go back to what you think the solution your customers or your potential customers are looking for. So you put together your mission statement, which is that thing that you're going to do every single customer experience, right? You're going to complete that mission. If FedEx mission was to provide overnight services, overnight delivery or express delivery for their customers, that's their mission, every single customer experience. So their mission has to be communicated as a part of their marketing objective, that you have the solution to the problem. Your marketing objective should be encouraging your prospects by letting them know what you can do or what you intend to do and how you're going to do it. That should be a part of your marketing objective. So when you're writing it out, it should state, it may not state exactly how you're going to communicate it, but what you want to be communicated, or what you want them to feel or believe from your marketing strategies or your promotional strategies. So now you're looking at your marketing objective. That should drive how you're going to promote. That should push how you decide to promote, what strategy you're going to leverage. Advertising strategies, perhaps online strategies, relational strategies, other strategies. But those strategies are going towards your target market. Those strategies you're going to put in front of different target markets will be attracted to different types of strategies. But it all starts back with your mission. It all starts back with, why am I here? What are we here to do? So now let's communicate that. So looking at office leverage as an example, what is their business mission? In the heart of their mission statement should be their product's value proposition, meaning here's our mission and here's the reason why you are going to love this. You're going to value this because it's going to solve your problem. So here's their mission statement. Office Leverage inspires business innovation and empowerment by designing interactive Microsoft Office training programs to improve employee productivity. Ultimately, whoever is going to hire them not only understands they're going to have a interactive, a flexible and customized curriculum designed, but it's to ultimately improve their employees' productivity. So in the heart of the mission is the value proposition. What is it that they're really buying? That their customers are buying a improved employee productivity strategy, and that is their training. Their mission is customization. Their mission is increased productivity. Their mission is making sure that company saves money because they now have a more productive workforce, and or make money because they have a more productive workforce. That's their mission. Customization, productivity is the endpoint as they walk away in business development. So the question is, what is your product's value proposition? What is your customers really paying for? It's not just to have X, Y, and Z. What will they walk away with after experiencing you? That's what we're talking about, the value proposition. That's what we're talking about in your mission, in your marketing objective. How are you going to be able to communicate that so that they are saying, oh my goodness, if I go with Office Leverage, not only will I be able to have a customized training program for my employees and not just whatever not something off the shelf, but I'm also purchasing a more productive employee. I would value that because we want to save money and we want to make money. That's what we want them to think about when we start talking about how we're going to communicate that in our marketing. So, what's the mission focus of your business? That's the first thing you're going to be thinking about when we start looking at putting together your marketing objective. Will your marketing objective be based on your mission's focus? So what does that mean? I have to go back to week 1 and look at what did I say the solutions my prospects are looking for in my business canvas. What did I say my mission was in the second homework assignment? Let me just go back and review that instead of starting all over again and writing out a new mission statement. Let me review that and make sure that now my marketing objective is going to be focused on, am I meeting the value that my customers are looking for? So again, will your product strategy be influenced by your mission's focus? So whatever my product strategy, which we're going to be talking about next week, it has to be influenced by what you say you're going to provide, the solution you're going to provide for your customer's problem. So when we look at the marketing objective, how will Office Leverage put together their profile for this? Once again, we are answering several questions. In this case, here are the questions that we felt pertinent for marketing objective. What do you want your marketing plan to communicate to your potential customers? What do you want your customers to remember about your business? That you're the best, that you have a great team, that you're quick. What do you want your customers to do after they buy and use your product or services? How do you want your customers to describe their experience with your company to someone else? And that's important because I would imagine that a lot of things that you all decide to buy, particularly if it's online, is on Amazon, you're clicking on ratings. You're clicking on feedback. What are people saying about this, that, and the other? I did that absolutely today. There's some product that I want to buy for my skin because I have a dermatology issue. And I've had some flakes come up this weekend. I said, you know what? This moisturizer I'm using is not doing what I want. I think I want to get something else. I read some customer reviews and decided to take a chance. Why? Because not only did the business promote X, Y, and Z that was valuable to me, but also the customer feedback said some things that I wanted to hear. There was some good stuff and there was some cautionary stuff. But what will you want your customers to describe their experience working with you or your product and services? So let's see what Marketing Office Leverage said about those questions, how they answered it. So the key objective of our marketing plan is to distinguish ourselves as a sought-after resource for Microsoft Office training in Atlanta and Fulton County. That's what they want to be known for, sought after. We want to be the go-to specialists who design curricula with a business focus. So no matter how they communicate, whether it be a online strategy, if it's a relational strategy where they're going to some trade shows and they talk to someone, whether it be a electronic flyer, no matter what they say in those things, this is what they want to communicate, that they are sought after resource. Here's the areas that they do training in. And they are a go-to specialist. And what do? They design curricula with a particular focus. And that is making sure that those companies make money and save money, which is what business development is all about. So the question is, what is your marketing objective? Can you answer those questions? What do you want your marketing plan to communicate? Can you answer the question, what do you want your customers to remember? That you're a go-to specialist, that you're a sought-after resource, that a lot of people really want you? What do you want your customers to do after they buy and use your product or services? And again, what do you want your customers to describe their experience with you? Those all can be wrapped up in your paragraph. All right, it's going to take you a couple of drafts to get to it. And again, no matter what you guys say on market day, we can continue to tweak your paragraph so you don't have to feel like analysis paralysis, that you're stuck and not able to move on to the next area. Get your draft done. It's going to be perfectly imperfect. Put it again, and then we together can tweak it until you're satisfied. Once you have your marketing objective done, the next part, as I mentioned here, go back here. The next part is your promotional strategy. Now that I know what I want to communicate, what I want people to know about it, now how am I going to promote it? Here's how you're going to promote it. Your promotional strategies. Here are just a list. This is a short list because obviously my slideshow only can get so many items on it. So here are 4 specific areas that you might want to concentrate on. The advertising area, and those are just a miscellaneous list of different things that typically fall under advertising. There's an online area. Those are a listing of things that typically fall under online strategies or tactics. There's a relational tactic strategy, and there are tactics underneath there. And then there's a miscellaneous other, and there's some stuff listed under there. A lot of us, or a lot of your companies that you like, use a little variation of all of these. Some might do billboards, some might do e-blasts and Facebook, or some type of online website. Some might have, flyers or brochures that they hand out to folks. Some might actually meet you out at a trade show or come to you. What are you going to do? What is your promotional tactics and strategies? And which one of these your target audience will best give attention to? You may have 2 or 3 or 4 in your market matrix. Not all of them are going to be attractive to an advertisement. Some of them might want to see you in person, and the relational might be a much more of a strategy for them. Some don't want to come to you. Some will just send me online, send me some information online, and I'll review that. Majority of us now have been so conditioned that we were just buy a car online. We don't even need to go and test drive it now, right? Just show me some stuff. Show me some fancy stuff. Let me see some people driving it. Let me see what people talking about it, and I'll buy it online. Then I'll come and get it and just have you ship it to me. Some of us just want to be an online shopper. Is that your customer? Which one of your customers are that? Which one in your group is like that? Give me some online strategies. And then some are just old-fashioned others. Give me a business card. Give me a flyer. Give me a press kit. Maybe we're going to do a sponsorship. Those are some tactics that you are looking at. So once we take a look at our mission, relate that to our marketing objective, relate that to our promotional strategies, you can then see how we are looking at the specific target audience that we want to leverage our promotional strategies with. Looking at office leverage, if you remember, here's what they wrote down in terms of their promotional target tactics. Office leverage will promote our group classes to local HR executives and corporations, IT directors, and small business owners who need project-specific training for their employees. To grow our webinar division, we will utilize online marketing to reach a national audience. So who were they using this particular promotional tactic for? Or there's some additional stuff that he wrote down. They're going to post monthly ads on Craigslist. They're going to design high gloss flyers for distribution at trade shows. They want to identify major industry related connections within a 10-mile radius. These are some things that their office leverage and their team decided and just brainstormed and decided, here are the things that we want to do for the targets that we have listed here. They want to maybe sponsor some events and provide free products and services. They may want to advertise directly on industry-related websites. They also may send some e-blasts out for people to opt in or opt out. Actually, opt in. They don't want to opt out. They may want to utilize some popular coupon sites for deep discounts on their products. They may attend networking events. Maybe they're with the Chamber of Commerce or with some trade association. They may want to participate in online forums and connect with members online so they can know who they are and they can build up their credibility on how they speak about the products and services. Maybe they're going to send a monthly newsletter to announce company updates and maybe some helpful tips, or even participate in supplier diversity programs if we still have a DEI situation going on. So when you go back and look at the target description, when we talked about target audience, this is one of the groups that Office Leverage talked about. You remember we did the target groups. They had small businesses in one group. They had corporations in one group. They had individuals that they're going after for webinars as a group. So here's what they wrote when they did deep dive. What do demographically they look like? Psychographically, what do they think about? What do they look like? Where are they? What kind of positions do they have? And here's what they wrote about the target audience. And then here's what they wrote about their promotional strategy to them. Human resource directors, managers, and vice presidents in Metro Atlanta and surrounding counties in Georgia are our ideal client. The decision makers in this group are typically women between the ages of 28 and 55 years old. Their buying decision is motivated by end user satisfaction, limited administrative work, and personal career recognition for their selection. Their priority is being an advocate for their end user, and they are driven by positive feedback from colleagues who attend the sessions. They will definitely stay with a vendor that provides desired solutions and most likely will not bargain hunt if there are proven results from an existing vendor. All that written out was because they profiled them. This is what they assume. This is their assumption of that particular group that they're targeting. This is how they believe. This is what they look like. So in that, here's how they're going to deploy their promotional strategy. We're going to employ a relational marketing strategy that reaches human resource professionals at targeted companies via personal calls, e-blast, an online strategy, personal calls is an other strategy, a relational strategy, forum participation, a relational strategy, and trade show exhibition, a relational strategy. I'm sure they may do some other stuff, but for that target, they feel they need to be in front of them. They need to see them. They need to shake their hand, talk with them, to more likely than not get an opportunity to be their vendor. What's your target? Who's your target you're going to go after? And what's your marketing objective? What's your promotional strategy that relates to it? All right. So it's 6:47. I told Vince I will turn the mic over to him at 6:45. I want to be honor my promise. And let's see, did Vince sign in? Let's see here. Do we have him here? I think we do. There we go. Hey there, Vince.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going super fantastic. So happy to have you here. I want to just introduce everybody to you. I mentioned earlier that you are a consulting member of Greater Wealth Works. But I am proud to say he's also my brother, my fraternity brother. And our fraternity is one of the organizations that support Greater Wealth Works and want to not only support them in terms of providing speakership, but also promote in making sure that we get the word out of what the best kept secret is in Georgia, which is Greater Wealth Works. And so Vince is here. He has talked to multiple classes in the past about your digital marketing strategies and the things that you need to think through. So I'm going to sit back and get my pen and paper out because I always learn something new from these presentations. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Vince. I'm going to make you a leader here.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to stop my sharing here. And so you can go ahead and tell them some background while I do this on you.
Yeah, for sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vince Dorville. I'm a career marketer. I've been a marketer for about 15 years. I started my career working at major ad agencies around the country. So I've worked at the three big ad groups, global ad groups, which are Group M, Omnicom, and Publicis. And in those experiences, I was responsible for analytics and strategy for major campaigns. I worked on brands like Sonic, Arby's, a few pharmaceutical brands for Bayer, like Aspirin and Aleve, as well as Miralax. Currently, I work for Georgia Tech. I did a couple of years working at Google, where I was on the Google Ads team as a consultant. So in those experiences, I saw a lot of changes in the digital media world and the marketing world. And as I worked with friends and people with small businesses, it was clear that there was a solutions gap. People didn't really understand how all the tools work together or how to create a cohesive marketing strategy. So I started doing work to help small businesses get a better understanding of the things that I was exposed to working with larger organizations. Usually I like to get a feel for who's in the room. So if you all could just give me your name and in 30 seconds, just tell me a little bit about your business, that will help me custom fit the presentation to some of your needs. So I could just go around and just call out names. So first is Tiara Sneed. Right. If you're speaking, you're on mute, Tiara. Okay. We'll just we'll move on to Daryl Burnett, and we'll give Tiara a chance towards the end.
Hey, so that's me. My name is Daryl, and my business is an online course, or really a collection of videos to help anybody who wants to become a VA, so virtual assistant, to be able to kind of have that starting place for virtual assistants who want to take their skills to the next level, to be able to increase their services and pay, and also entrepreneurs. So much of what we do is like a very specific craft. And when we say we want to go into business, there are a lot of pieces and parts that we don't know about. So things like, invoicing and QuickBooks and everything in between. So that's I teach people how to use them easily. Oh, now you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Is your service going to be subscription based, or are you just going to have a la carte?
I am considering both. So there will be some a la carte options, mostly in the form of like packages of like, watch through these 6 videos and you'll, be able to master whatever. But then also subscription based of maybe 3, 6, or lifetime access. I've gotten that far out
Okay.
to be able to kind of say, where are you at? So, if you don't know how to use Excel at all, you don't need the advanced stuff. So here's kind of your first tier versus maybe you've got Excel, you've got your basics of like email and calendar management. Now you need to look at more project management. So being able to have some ideal packages that's like an easy grab and go, but then also if you just need the one, you can grab the one as well.
Okay, thank you. I just needed some clarity just so that I can custom fit some of the language in this presentation. All right. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. Oh, thank you, Daryl. Next is it Venice?
It's Venice.
Okay, Venice Walker. My apologies.
No worries, no worries. Nice to meet you. Name of my company is SkillSpear, and SkillSpear is a staffing and ERP solution consulting firm. I have a partnership with Odoo, and we specialize in tailor fitting ERP solutions, which is enterprise resource planning solutions for the small to mid-sized client. And then the additional services I provide for that is offering the staffing and the training needed to qualify people to do ERP implementations around the Odoo platform.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have Kimberly Jackson.
Hello, how are y'all doing today?
Hello.
My business is Chemistry Creations, fresh hot boiled peanuts and fresh pork skins. I also do some sweet treats. It is a business that I've been doing for over 25 years. Fresh, uniquely prepared snacks with wonderful seasonings that I get from around the world when I travel for those boiled peanuts. My pork skins has 10 different flavors. I do a lot of festivals, events. I have an online website where I can order and ship as well. And I'm looking to maybe soon get them in some stores and just get more known, build up the business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And last name Strickland. I'm not sure what the first name is.
Hi, I'm sorry. I was speaking on mute. I'm sorry. But hello, everyone. My business is actually professional life coaching, offering coaching for individuals that's experiencing life changes such as career transitioning to personal growth, from relationship changes such as divorce or marriage, to starting their own businesses, entrepreneurs. Basically, coaching and being helping individuals that feel sort of stuck or overwhelmed and or just don't know where to start. So that's basically what my business will be offering.
Okay, quick question regarding your business. Do you work on a per visit basis or do you have retainer agreements?
This is a new business, but I'm actually going to seek both,
Okay.
individually and a retainer.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks. Tashina King.
Hello. Yes. So, Destination Charity is a affiliate-driven travel auction, and it is just a penny auction that offers travel at a reduced rate, a little bit of group economics.
Okay, thank you. And what am I missing? Tierra Sneed, do you want to give it another shot?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to hit the mute button, but it was like froze. It wouldn't let me. Then I had to reset the page. It was a lot. But my name is Tierra, but my business name is T. Lachey. I'm the owner of Horny Skin, and not the way that you're thinking, but Horny Skin has a meaning to it. So the outermost layer of everyone's skin is called the stratum corneum, but it's also known as the horny layer. This is where hyperpigmentation, acne, and fine lines reside. So me being an esthetician, I want to bridge the gap between the Black community on how we properly care for and protect our skin. So I bought a school bus and I completely converted it into a mobile spa. And so now I'm starting this class to get my business plan in order so that I can be able to market and brand my business to the best ability, to be able to bring brand awareness and bring the community, like build, I guess, bridge the gap between skincare knowledge and the community.
Okay, great. And last but not least, Annette Moore.
Good afternoon. My business, Mohue Enterprises, is to create solar farms. And my originally was to, create the farm, sell the electricity to utility companies. However, now I'm leaning more toward a community solar farms, creating these for communities and individual customers to be able to sell electricity to reduce their costs of their utility costs.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Thank you.
And I appreciate everyone taking the time to share their business objectives with me. And you'll see why I did that as I go through the presentation. So we're at 7 on the dot, so I'll try to get through this in the next hour. But I like to make this conversational. So as I'm going, if you want to use the raise hand feature, or if you just want to call out to get my attention, please do so. As conversational as possible is definitely my preference. So let me just share my screen so you guys can see the presentation. All right, so this is Digital Marketing Strategy 101, or Marketing Mogul, as Greater Wealth Works likes to call it. And this is a deep dive into modern marketing. Some of you may be familiar with different elements that I'll speak to within this presentation, but it's just a holistic view. So just think of, you'll be drinking through the fire hose when I go through this. There's a lot of information, and you're not meant to be a subject matter expert by the end of this. This is just to get your wheels spinning and just to get you to a place of thinking about how this can apply to your business. There may be things that don't apply to your business at all, but there'll most likely be a handful of things that you walk away with that you can apply to promoting your business or growing your brand. All right, so the first piece is identifying and reaching your audience. Some of you have very niche audiences that are specific to a particular need, a service, or a place in life that someone may be in. Understanding what that audience is allows you to hone in on messaging, also to communicate directly to them, and to create visual cues that speak directly to that audience. So marketing is a discipline that requires research, strategy, application of scientific method, and constant refinement. Marketing doesn't happen accidentally. Some people think okay, I go on Facebook, I place an ad, or I talk about my brand, I'm now a marketer. No, there is science behind it. There's strategy behind it. There are things that you can measure. And, I don't say that just because I'm a career marketer. I say that because I've seen marketing campaigns that didn't follow the scientific rigor that it needed to, and what it resulted in was waste. And if you are a small business and you don't have a huge marketing budget, you want to be as efficient as possible. So this presentation just focuses on the fundamentals, the things that you need to know to get you started, to start to be able to ask the right questions. If you're talking to a marketing consultant, or if you're going on these platforms, it's imperative that you have the basics down so that you can ask intelligent questions and design campaigns that make sense for what you're trying to accomplish. All right, so this is a marketing funnel. This is Marketing 101. This is what you learn in an intro to marketing class. And there are different terms that are used in this funnel, but this is kind of like the advertising approach. So you start at the top of the funnel. Of course, if you think of a funnel when you're either using it in the kitchen or with your car, the top is the widest. It catches the most, and then it gets it down to a point where wherever you're funneling that liquid or matter into, it's going to get to a point where it can fit into its destination, or it goes directly to where you want it to go, so it's not all over the place. So you start out wide with awareness. You just basically want people to know what your brand is. So you're educating your audience on your industry or class of products. So they may not know about, like, say for instance, you're an esthetician. They don't know about the different layers of their skin. They don't know that they have this need. They just know that they have a problem. They have acne, or they have dry skin, they have hyperpigmentation. So just basically stating that, oh, hyperpigmentation is a problem and you may have a solution, is a broad awareness, because you start with the problem state. You start with the potential person who could be a customer in the end, and you speak directly to them. Now, brand awareness is a little different. That's when you specifically talk about your brand. This is when you get your logo involved, the colors of your brand, and the different things that your brand needs to stick. If I say yellow arches, what brand am I talking about? Feel free to chime in.
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Okay. If I say red can, what am I talking about?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Correct. If I say swoosh,
Nike.
Nike.
And we know, like, swoosh is not a real word, but if I say swoosh, you know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go a little abstract. What if I say badoom?
Badoom.
Mm-hmm. Most of you interact with it, but that is actually the brand for Netflix. When
Doom Doom. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when it starts up, the Badoom, like their big marketing campaign, when they're talking about what their product offerings, the feature enhancements, when they present Netflix as a brand, that conference is called Badoom. And the brand is called Badoom. That's a sonic brand. So there are different types of brands. I talked about packaging, which was the Coke can. I talk about the brand marker, which is the golden arches. I talked about a sonic brand, something that you hear. Like back in the day, if you played video games, Sega, like they had a distinct way of saying Sega. Like when you start the game loaded up, that was a sonic brand, that was a cue. T-Mobile has a sonic brand on their campaign. So these are things that help people be conscious of your brand itself. So you have to be very intentional. So this deck is branded. All of the colors chosen are part of my brand palette for my consulting company. Greater Wealth Work also uses a branded deck. So, when you think of it, and if you see me walk by in a green polo with my name on it, you'd be like, oh, I remember you from that presentation. You do the marketing stuff. So that's a way to get your brand to a point where you have full awareness. And that's the thing. You want people to have this thing called brand recall. I don't know if anybody's ever been on YouTube and they ask you, have you interacted or used product A, B, or C? Like in between your videos, they'll ask you that. That's a brand survey, and they're trying to measure brand awareness. So that's something that you want to do. Just be very consistent with your brand identity. Now, brand consideration is where you connect the user state with your brand. You did the work of letting them know that there's a need for whatever, there's a need that they may have. You made them aware of your brand. Now you're getting them to consider your brand for that need. That's brand consideration, right? Now, you want them to go a step further. You want to educate them a little bit more. So you want that audience to make an informed decision on what they're going to do as a result of the problem that you've identified. It's like you can say like, hey, these are ways that you can use my brand. You either go to my site, you go to my Instagram, you fill out a form, whatever the case may be. Next, you gauge intent. Now, they visited your site a couple of times. You notice that they are on 2 to 3 visits. You notice it takes 4 visits for them to convert to being a life coaching client. So by the 4th time, you're like, all right, I'm ready to hit them with this message to get them to go to the website and actually convert to being a client. And that conversion stage is a point where you call them to action. You basically say, hey, I need you to convert. You've been here a few times. You may engage with them because you've collected their email, or they have followed your social media. After they've converted and they've had a positive experience, they think your brand is the greatest thing since sliced bread. They really love the virtual assistants that you've provided for their company. Now you want them to tell other people about it. You want 20 or 30 new clients from this one client. That is advocacy or retention. Or they come back, they start another business, or they have a new project that they're working on and they need another virtual assistant. That's retention. So you want advocacy and retention in the end. The cheapest way to advertise is word of mouth, and for people to really be an advocate for your brand and to promote your brand for you without you paying them to do so. And that it's done through a positive experience and just nudging them a little bit to remember your brand. I'm going to pause here. Does anyone have any questions on any part of the marketing funnel, or is there any need for clarity? All right, good. So now I talked about the audience. There's different ways to identify that audience, and it's a step-by-step process. I don't know if anyone remembers doing current events back in elementary and middle school, where you just got a newspaper article and you had to do the who, what, where, when, why. But I took that same approach. You want to identify who, and the way that you identify who is you research your audience and define what they like. That's what we call brand affinities. It's like, okay, this person really, really, really likes over-the-counter skin products, and you want to get them away from that because it's not good for their skin pigmentation. So knowing that, you can just start to talk about the damage that some of their favorite products may be doing to their skin, or how it's drying them out and they already have dry skin. So you get them to a point where you find out what they like, and you find a way to resonate with them. So you create with that your target, you start to identify your target audience, right? So you identify that target audience and you know who they are. Now, what do you say to them? That's when you start to create content. And by content, I don't just mean social media posts. I also mean what's on your website. What are you sending to them in email? If you have a text application, text feature, what are you texting to them? If you have a booking site, what does it say on the booking? Or is there an FAQ or whatever the case? So you create all of that content with intentionality. You try to anticipate needs. You try to make them feel good about your brand. You talk to them about any aversions or apprehensions that they have. You try to be a partner in their decision making. Now, when and where? So you know your audience, you know their affinities. So say, for instance, I am looking to market boiled peanuts and snacks, right? Where would I market to somebody like that? You would have to think of ways to get somebody when they're in a need state, or when they're relaxed enough to interact with that. I wouldn't post something about boiled peanuts and snacks on like MSNBC or a stock website, or something that somebody may be looking at while they're at work. But if somebody is in a light mood or something like that, I would post it around content that kind of speaks to that audience. So, like some of that entertainment content, maybe some media news or whatever the case may be. That's the where and when, and I would probably do it in the afternoon or evening, or on the weekend, just because they're kind of in that mind frame and they're not thinking about their next deliverable at work. So now you start to analyze all of this data. Once you have all of the things connected, if you have a virtual presence or a online presence, the great thing is you get tons of data. And once that data starts to talk to other platforms, like your email marketing is talking to your website analytics, which is talking to your social media, you have all of that data and you can make decisions off of that. If you know that on that platform, 1% of people generally click through, and you see that you put up an ad that's clicking through at 12%, you know that it's working. You're reaching the right people. But if your ad is at 0.04%, something's wrong. So you start to, and you go back to the who, what, where, when, and then you work right. It's an iterative process. If you get to a point where you see something's not working, you have to go back. Now, before you go back, you might want to optimize the content. You already, like, once you've analyzed and you see what's wrong, you've identified why it's not working. So in that instance, if you notice that, hey, I have this really bright red ad for the ERP solutions, and it's not really working for the target audience. It's a little too fiery. It's a little too loud. My font looks a little too juvenile. They need something that's a little bit more business oriented. So you start to clean it up and you change your font and you have another iteration. And to test your theory, you might put the old ad and the new ad at equal weight, meaning that if you're spending $5 on the old ad, you're spending $5 on the new ad, just to see if your hypothesis is true. Now, you go from who, what, where, when, how, and why to wow. Now you've identified the right audience. You're clicking through at 11, 12%. It's blowing your expectations, and you want advocacy. So you start to foster advocacy by, nudging them a little bit to promote your brand, so you don't have to work as hard and pay for as many ads. So, and just taking it back to the first step of audience identification, I wanted to drill down into that a little bit more. First step is to do your audience research. You start to understand the makeup of your audience. That could be demographic or psychographic. And the difference between demographics is like, is it more women, men? That's demographics. Psychographics is, are they more conservative? Are they partying? Are they homebodies? Are they more family oriented? That's the psychographic. So just understanding who they are, what they look like. And then if it's online media, you have to understand where they live, work, and play. And when I say live, work, and play, it's like we have different personas online. When you're doing stuff for life-based needs, like you may be on Amazon and you need to buy things for the home, or you need to go to your grocery website and do a pre-order for your groceries, or your Instacart or something like that. That's live things. Where you work is if you are doing solar panels, like you may research clean energy or things that are happening in the socio-political world that may affect your industry. So that's work related, and it's like contextual and relevant. And then play is just like you understand that a lot of the people that may be involved with your brand like a certain type of show. There are people who are into affiliate travel, so they watch a lot of travel. They might watch the Travel Channel, or they might watch something like old Anthony Bourdain episodes on Netflix. So just knowing where they are and aligning your content and aligning your ads to that. Once you do that, you start to define personas. Some brands have more than one type of person who may interact with the brand. I've worked on a couple of travel campaigns, and with travel campaigns, sometimes you find like older travelers and they have a specific destination or need, whereas a younger person is looking to go to like Tulum or Colombia or somewhere where they could have a lot of fun. So just understanding that and creating those personas and speaking directly to the personas and having ads that reflect the personas will help you kind of mitigate loss. And then you could analyze the personas against each other. Like if you're putting a lot of effort on senior citizen travelers who have disposable income, but you're seeing like they're going to your competitor, but there's a strong need for people who were interested in your really fun and engaging Brazil trip, and they tend to skew younger, then you know that, hey, you have to take away either you have to put more media spend and change the message for the older people, or you can choose on the business side to focus on the younger people since it's working and you know that audience is going to convert. So those are some of the things that you think about when you give yourself that layer of analysis by creating those personas. Like I said before, understanding affinities and what's going on in those markets. Affinities is basically what people like, and understanding what changes in attitudes. Like you may see the boiled peanuts became really popular on TikTok. So there are a lot of young people looking for boiled peanuts. So you create a persona around that. Or you may see that there is like a health concern of on some sweeter snacks or something like that. So you could market to say like, hey, those health concerns are not rooted in reality, and this is the truth about the health of this or that, like, or whatever you're selling. And then you create segments. That's what I was talking about by creating the different personas, creating the different affinities, creating the different audience groups. Those are segments or ad groups that you create when you do the Facebook campaigns or the Google campaigns. How you organize your campaign is how your data is going to come out. So if you know that you're going towards older people in one campaign and younger people in another campaign, organize it like that on the back end before your campaign starts, before a dollar goes into it. Make sure that it's segmented. And then once you have your ads, don't forget that your brand has a voice. If you're a life coaching expert, you're not going to come wagging your finger, blaming people for mistakes that they've made or chastising them. You want your brand voice to be inviting. So keeping that in mind, you would have ads that reflect the voice of, you know, who you are as a brand. And then so the mistake some people make is you have to make a conscious decision whether you are your brand or your brand has its own identity. And some people don't know how to separate their own voice from their brand voice. So once you make that conscious decision about your brand voice and what your brand identity is, you have to divorce that from your own identity. So I've seen ads and social media posts that I know the person behind it, and I'm like, that is not the brand identity, but I know that's something that the person would say. So that may require you to get a copy editor or somebody who's an expert in social media, or it just requires a little bit of imagination on what that voice sounds like. Next is targeting. You want to deliver those messages exactly where people are, and that's what I meant by live, work, and play. You know, you have the personas, you've identified where they are, now you target them directly and you just try to pinpoint exactly where they are. Now, a lot of these tools have AI capabilities and they'll tell you, go broad, and they'll find the person for you. You can do it that way. Sometimes it works amazingly, sometimes it doesn't. So I would sometimes what I do is I will test the broad approach against a more targeted approach. And what I say is like, what I mean by that, I should say, is that I will do a targeted campaign where I do my own personas and I may put a little bit of money on like the AI or the automated feature in Google or Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok, just to see how they perform against one another. Sometimes you know your brand better than the algorithm does. So it's imperative that sometimes you make those decisions and you see how it works for you. So when you do content, there are different types of content, short-term versus long-term. Long-term, I like to call it evergreen. You know, evergreen tree stays green all the time. You don't have to like do much to it. It's weatherized. You don't have to take much care. And you can make content like that. If you have a general brand identity, you're talking about specific products consistently, that's your brand identity. So you can talk about that. But if you have a flash sale or you have a limited time offer, you know, if you have like a holiday flavored a boiled peanut or something or a limited edition spice that you got from a place that you won't have a replenishment of for a while, that's short term. But if you have something that's your staple product, that could be more long term. If you have a service that your ERP solution or your life coaching provides consistently, that's evergreen as well. But you also want to refresh your imagery and your messaging, just so it doesn't get stale. I advise people to do that at least every 6 months. Just, you know, the messaging could be the same. And then you can have an ad that really works, that's tried and true. You can have that go continuously, but you always want to have something new and market visually. Next up is titles, leads, and ad text. You'd be surprised how much that matters in terms of, you know, when you see a Google ad. Let me just do a quick search and show y'all Nike sneakers. right. We have a question?
Yes, I can ask it after you complete because I wanted to kind of understand, the best approach for Google ad placement so that when certain keywords are searched, your website or your company information will populate within the first 2 to 3, queries.
Yeah, I can give you a little bit more on that. This is partially explaining that. Let me just
Okay.
quickly walk through that. So this is Nike. And when you do a Nike search for Nike sneakers, I just wanted to find a sponsored search. Maybe a bad example because it changes all the time. Sorry, let me just find. All right, now, so you have restaurants, different places, and you have different sites. So what happens with a lot of these searches, like sometimes you'll see sponsored searches, you'll see organic searches. The ones that appear at the top that say sponsored, I'm not finding any right now, but those, let me just try one more thing. All right, so we see some sponsored searches here, Resi and OpenTable. These are paid searches, meaning that there's a campaign that they paid. There's a campaign that they paid for, and these are the sponsored searches that came up. Now, below are the organic searches. And the way that these appear is there's content on the website. You see, I said best restaurants in Atlanta. This is called best restaurants in Atlanta. So it's contextually relevant. So when they're called spiders and they crawl the website. When they crawl the website, they found this an exact match to what I'm looking for. And they gave me a list based on that. It's Atlanta. And then they include, you'll see that relevant information to what I search for is throughout the page. We go 75 best restaurants. So you want to create content that speaks to what that search behavior will be for that user. So if you have an ERP solution, you want to mention ERPs. You want to talk about the different platforms that are used in your business on the website and talk about like your experience with them or questions people may have. And then when you do the paid post, you want to anticipate needs. Now, let me show you another tool. So you go to trends.google.com. It's Google Trends. And Google Trends, you can see ERP solutions. And it'll show you in the past, however many days, how popular these searches were. Let's just say 90 days. And then we will do Georgia. Okay, so there are not enough searches to give you data. So that tells you that there may be an opportunity to educate people on this. But in the United States, there are enough searches to get us results. So Georgia may need a little bit more education on what ERP solutions are. MasterSoft, is that yeah, MasterSoft is, I'm guessing, a software for ERPs?
Is not one I'm familiar with.
Okay. So anyway, so that came up in the searches. Now we could see something happened on January 12th regarding MasterSoft that made it outperform ERP solutions as a search term. So you would go back and search news articles, search things that happened. There may have been a something going on in the stock market with an IPO regarding that. So just think about those things when you start to play with this data. And it'll also tell you where in the country searches for these things are most popular. So Kansas, New York, Virginia, Maryland, and Georgia. So those are the ways that you kind of like build it out. And then there's another tool called SEMrush. This tool actually tells you which terms are popular. You can enter, let's do solar farms. So it's going to ask me to sign up because I no longer use this. But anyway, what the result would do is it would tell you what are the most popular sites, what are some terms you can use. That's called SEM Rush. And then once you have those sites and everything else, you can just layer that into your website. Okay, so that's just a little bit of information on how you build content. It's just like you find that what's most popular, you use those search tools to really understand, to really understand what you need to layer into your content strategy. And then you would include those things in the titles and the leads and in the ad text of your particular ads. Now, that piece that I was speaking to when I said that you add the content specifically to your website, that's called SEO, search engine optimization. You want the search engine to be able to find the information on your site. There's now a new term. It's called, I think it's called AEO, or artificial intelligence optimization, or AIO or something like that. But they're still figuring out the terminology. Now it's no longer searches. It's about artificial intelligence results. So DeepSeek and ChatGPT, those are AI, and Google Gemini. Those are tools that people are using now to get information rather than the traditional searches. Now, once you have all of that together, you have your brand elements. You want to include your brand name, your brand guidelines, and if there's space for it, you have your brand voice. So if you do a visual ad, you want your logo, your slogans, your colors, and the brand voice. If you have something that you say about your brand, you want that included. I've seen so many people build ads and they forget their logo or to say anything about their brand. It's a waste. You want people to remember, or you want people to understand that your brand is the solution for their particular need state. All right, so this is a typical marketing mix, and there's more to marketing. You can do affiliate marketing. Who was it? Ms. King, you mentioned that you do affiliate travel. So that's basically getting people to mention what you do on their site or on their platforms, and they get a kickback for doing so. So next up is ad servers. Ad servers are basically where you will place your ads and it figures out where to serve it. So Google has ad servers, and then there are more advanced ones. I'll talk about those in a second. But you will do all the language, you'll put your pictures in, and the ad server will be like, okay, I know where to go. I know where to find that person. And then either it will do something like a lookalike model where you tell it exactly who that person is, or it'll see somebody who converted on your website and be like, okay, got it. That person converted. Let me find 10 people like them. Everybody knows social media. It's using paid and organic social to get people to your site. Depending on your demographics, you might be on different social media platforms, or you might be on all of them and have a slightly different voice. So that's one thing. I've seen people write Facebook ads or make Instagram ads and then just like put them everywhere. One, they're not sized correctly. Two, the voice that you have on those different platforms, the word count and everything else may be a little different. And there are a couple of social media management tools that make that task a little bit easier. Next, I mentioned this extensively, is the search. You want paid and organic search. If you have the budget for paid, it helps you get to the top by paying for your placement. But if you do the work on the back end, you can get to the top with organic efforts. Video content, like you can create content that speaks specifically to a need state, and just giving them enough, giving them that carrot to actually invest in your brand. Like if you have the virtual assistant solutions, one of the things that you can do is basically let them know why it's important to have a virtual assistant, or You can have testimonials of former clients who had positive experiences with your virtual assistant. And then you can get them to a point where they understand, like, okay, like they can be virtual assistant, or, you know, or whatever the case may be. If you're looking to build solar farms, say for instance, you're looking to get with developers who are building new communities and you want them to actually build those solar farms in those communities, you can show that it adds value to said communities, and it, like, the sale time for their properties versus other properties in similar locations is slower, or whatever the case may be. I just made that up, so that may be completely false. Next is email marketing. It's a way to continually engage and to have brand recall and just to get people to remember you. You may just speak specifically about something going on in your industry. You may have a sale or a promotion, a new flavor of peanuts, a new skincare solution. You may offer something new in the ERP space, or there may be a change in the ERP space that you want to address directly. That's your way of engaging with your clients. And what's so unique about email versus social is the fact that you own your list. With social media, it's, you know, I don't know how best to say it, but social media, sometimes it feels like spray and pray, like you're just basically spraying out there and you're hoping that you hit your target. Whereas email, you already know those people, you know who they are. They've opted in, they know your brand, and they've interacted with you prior. And if you're really smart about how you create your email segments, you know exactly where that person is in their buying state. This person purchases every month. That's a repeat customer. So you just need to nudge them a little bit. This person went to your website, but, you know, they don't really do anything. So you've got to get them to the point of conversion. Or this other person keeps visiting your website, but they are a low volume purchaser. So you might want to upsell them. Next up is out of home event and PR. So these are more traditional marketing tactics. And this is when you push your brand out. The issue with these is there's not a lot of measurement attached to them, but you still need them. You still need to get out there in the traditional ways. But if you're not seeing results from those ways, just know that, you know, you might want to do something that's more measurable and that you can refine. You know, if you have a billboard up, unless you have like a code or you have a QR code on there that they scan, there's no way of telling that they saw that billboard. So that's something to think about when you do traditional marketing, is how to get to some other more measurable things. So QR codes are good ways. Discount codes that are specific to your billboard. I would advise people, like, if you're doing billboards, you're doing bus signs, you're doing something along those lines, you're doing different things along those lines, be intentional and have a different QR code for each one. So you know if it was a bus or a billboard or a flyer or whatever the case may be. And just think about your QR code and user behavior. I've seen people put QR codes on things that they post online. Most people view things online with their cell phone. How do you scan a QR code? With your cell phone. So how will I scan that QR code if I'm holding the cell phone already? So rather than having a QR code on that link, you might want to put an actual hot link that they can navigate to where they need to be. So just be very intentional about all of these spaces in the marketing mix, and take a moment to think about your own behavior and whether or not putting something on that ad makes sense, or if you could better utilize that space or that language. I'm going to take a pause. I know I've said a lot. Is there anything that, okay, so Kimberly. Okay. For sure. All right, so I'll reach out, Miss Jackson. Thank you. And one thing that you definitely want to do is define success. You define your goals when you go into these campaigns. Like, you have different campaigns and different goals. As a new brand, you may want to focus on new users. So you're measuring new user success by looking at how many new visitors, first-time visitors or customers come to your website. If you set up your site correctly, Google Analytics or any other measurement platform will tell you whether the person's new or not. If you want more engagement, if you have a video up or if you have social media and you want them to like it or whatever the case may be, you'll measure it with those different measurements. Social and email, you want them to open those emails. You want them to click on into your social media posts. You want them to share your social media posts. So just think about like the most applicable measurements for each one. Advocacy, again, sharing and any viral phenomenon, that's advocacy. Leads, that means that somebody who makes sense for your brand interacted with your brand and came into your space and gave you their information. That's when they convert into a lead. And then there's a sale. So if you want a sales focused campaign, a lot of these platforms will ask you whether or not you want to go directly to the sale. So that's up to you. Some people don't have the big budgets to focus on building a brand, so they go right for the sale. But again, it's like a chicken or the egg. If they don't know your brand, will they buy? You know, so it's just like sometimes you have to do that work on the front end to get a bigger return on the back end. All right, so here's how to optimize your campaign. I always start with a measurement plan. It's a concise way of getting everybody involved. If you are a sole proprietor, I still would do a measurement plan just because you want to keep yourself honest and you also want to take a moment to think about what success looks like. First up, you're going to identify your key performance indicators. So if you want people to click through your website, then it's going to be click-through rate. If you want people to actually buy, it's going to be sales. If you want just general awareness, you want more eyeballs on whatever you're doing. Then you identify the benchmark and the attribution model. The benchmark is basically what the success usually looks like in your space. If you know that food products have a certain percentage of click-throughs, then you're going to say, okay, 10% of people usually click on my segment, and I'm at 9%. I got to work a little bit harder to get it above that benchmark for it. And they're going to be benchmarks for your segment, for your goal, whatever platform you're on. So just like researching those benchmarks will help you. Attribution models. Now you'll be interacting with all different types of media. Like I just gave you a full marketing mix, and you're going to select an attribution model that makes sense. At first, there's simple attribution model that's the most simple is like, it's called last touch. Whatever platform they came to your website or interacted with your brand with from last, even if they interacted with 5 or 6 other things that you use to advertise your brand, it's going to give credit to that last one. Now you can do weighted attribution, which is basically saying like if they interacted with 5 things, we're going to give more weight to, we're going to give 20% to the first one. We're going to give 25 and 25 to the first and last. And then the middle 3, we're going to split up that 50% amongst those 3, just so that it gives a little bit of weight to, so you understand how your efforts are leading to actual sales and conversions. You also want to have a test and learn strategy. I talked about hypothesizing. You could hypothesize audiences, messages, different platforms. You can pit platforms against one another. You can say like, do Google ads work better for me, or does Microsoft Bing work best for me? Do I have enough volume on Bing? Should I also complement that with a YouTube campaign or a Facebook campaign? Lastly is an optimization strategy. If your benchmark is at that 10%, you're consistently at 7, what will you do? How long will you let that ramp up? How much data do you need to optimize out of that thing? You know, I usually give a campaign or a placement about 60 days to get to where it needs to be. And then I start to think about what optimization looks like, or I test it against something else. Okay. Any questions thus far? All right, cool. So we're going to move on. These are, I'm not going to walk through all of these KPIs. I kind of mentioned some of them, but some of them are more relevant than others depending on what you're trying to do. If the sale happens on your website, then you're going to have an acquisition or a conversion, so CPC or CPA. Return on ad spend is, for every dollar you spend on ads, what do you get as a return in sales? Return on investment is your total investment. That's when you bring in everything. Like if you have a designer or you work with a consultant, that's factored into the price, and you try to think about, based on your total investment, what are you getting back? Okay. But I won't walk through all of this. A very important one is a cost per lead. So for Venice and Daryl and Ms. Strickland, all three of you have lead generation needs. So just think about like a cost per lead model and what that looks like for you, and what it makes sense for you. Because sometimes you may have a customer that will bring you $2,000-$3,000 a month, right? They bring you $2,000 a month, but it costs you $12,000 to get them. So it's going to take you about 6 months to break even on that person. Whereas you see on another platform, the cost per lead on that person is about $300. You break even on that first month. All right, Ms. Moore?
Do you have recommendations of some tools to use to measure some of these KPIs?
Thank you for the segue. So there are a bunch of tools that we could use. That was the next slide. That was super intuitive of you. Thank you. Here's a breakout of some of the tools that I use. These are industry standard tools, and for every solution, there are tons of tools nowadays. Like there's a startup popping up with a solution. And sometimes it's good to use some of the new tools just because the pricing is friendlier and they have new features, but sometimes they don't last, or they sunset some of the features. So now for some of the research, I mentioned Google Trends. I mentioned SEMrush. You can use census data. You can use Pew Research studies or any other national study group. Kantar and Nielsen measure audience data for content and TV. So you can get creative and you could combine some of these things to learn more about your audience. SEMrush is more web-based. Google Trends is based on search data. So for ad serving, on the right, that big block of all of those ad servers or ad serving platforms that you kind of have to manage and massage yourself, whereas Google Ads is a little bit more turnkey. So you can go in there and create a campaign somewhat easily. I think there is a learning curve on Google Ads, and everyone's first campaign doesn't do well. Like it's rare that someone will do a first campaign. So I tell use your first campaign on Google Ads as a learning experience. Don't throw a ton of money into it. Just learn how the platform works. Put $100, maybe $50 in there, and just so that you can learn from your mistakes. I've seen one person, they put $50 into a campaign with the hopes of learning, but they didn't put any frequency cap. Frequency means how many times that ad is seen in a day. If you let Google spend your money, they will. As a former Google employee, I will tell you that the company has no reservations about spending your money. So just think about that when you start to build out your campaign. But if you have a product, like if you are an esthetician and you start to make skincare products, you might want to think about advertising on Amazon if you are placed on Amazon. Same with the boiled peanuts and some of the snack items. If you're trying to get on Amazon or some of the other platforms that are direct to consumer, they have advertising layered on. Like if you go onto Amazon.com, you'll see sponsored links when you search for a particular product. That's where that lies within Amazon advertising. Okay. So email marketing, I talked about a few solutions. There's Atlanta-based MailChimp, and then there are a few other platforms. I like Keep. Keep is pretty good because it has email marketing solutions as well as CRM. So you can break out your list. You can understand where people are at. You could connect it to other platforms. it's a little bit more intuitive. MailChimp is starting, does a lot of that stuff, but I just prefer the user experience on Keep. There are other tools. I'm not advising people to use Aweber or Constant Contact, but they're available. Some people like them just because they're very straightforward. There are not a lot of extra features. Some people like that. They don't want to complicate their email. But for me, I think it's a waste because there are other things that you could connect your email to make it give you more bang for your buck. Now, social media, Meta manages everything through their business platform or their business manager. And you have the ads manager and the pixel that's connected. So you manage your Facebook ads, your Threads ads, and your Instagram ads from one platform. There's LinkedIn ads. So LinkedIn ads will make sense for Venice, Miss Strickland, and Dara. And potentially Miss King, and definitely Miss Annette, just because you have some business to business elements, or you're catching people when they're in their work state, or you're looking for a more professional audience. Now, I would imagine Miss Jackson with the boiled peanuts, you would do really well in a space like TikTok, Instagram. It's more impulsive. People like food on those platforms. So you might want to think about how to build campaigns on that, as well as Tiara, Miss Sneed, your esthetician work. You can show before and afters. Like, there's a lot of content like that on TikTok. You can show the bus itself. You can show where you're going. You can show your journey, and you can just talk about a day in the life. I think that would be a good connection. You can create viral moments, or you can create pop-ups that work really well on Instagram and TikTok, as well as Snap. I don't know what, I never got into Snap, so I don't really speak to it when I present, but I just leave it there. And then there's also X. Some people are shying away from X just because of brand safety and a lot of the things that are going on there. And it's up to you whether or not you want to use that platform. But you also want to think about how your brand is positioned, and what it's positioned next to. Here are some social media management tools. There are tons more. What these allow you to do is to schedule your post, build campaigns. If you're working with a social media manager, some of these tools have approvals. So, you can, we talked about your brand voice, your brand identity. If you want to check some of those things and you have a social media manager, there can be a layer of approval that lives in some of these social media management tools. Lastly, we asked about measuring your website. These are two tools that I really like to measure websites. Google Analytics is really easy, but Heap gives you so much more data and information about how people are interacting with your website, including heat maps and screen records. So if I go to your website, it won't tell me who it is, but it'll show me how they interacted with the website. And that will let you know, like, hey, based on how this person interacted with the website, there may be something wrong with the user experience that's keeping them from converting. They may be looking for something and clicking too many times to find something. So maybe you have to reformat your website so that they can find their information faster. Whereas Google Analytics is really good at showing where people came from, how much they spent, what they converted on. So these are two different options. In rare instances, I've seen people use both, but you need a lot of money for that. Google Analytics is relatively cheap, but Heap is not. So these are customer relationship platforms. HubSpot is low cost, relatively easy to start up. And customer relationship management is where you build, like, back, some of you may be a little too young for this, but back in the day, there used to be a Rolodex where you had all of the information of your potential clients, people you've worked with, and it would be organized alphabetically or based on like whatever interaction you had with them. And then but these tools do that virtually, and they let you know where people are at. You can organize them by where they're at in the sales cycle, and you could also organize them by the value of their deal. This is really good for people who do consulting, It's also good for people like, say, for instance, Kimberly, you started to do distribution. You got a nationwide, you have nationwide distribution, and you want to think about like where your placements are and like potential deals you have with different stores and distributors. So you can also organize it like this. Same thing with Tiara. You can organize some of your events and stuff, like potential clients who want to do appearances or like have the bus come out to their event or whatever the case may be. And Miss Annette, same thing with the solar farms. Once you meet potential clients, potential developers, individual builders, you can organize them accordingly and then look at the deal value and organize it based on that. Like, I use HubSpot personally. It just makes sense for me. Salesforce is a lot of administrative stuff that you have to do behind the scenes, but I have a consulting gig where I have to use Salesforce. They essentially do similar things. It's just how involved you want to be. That's it for my presentation. I just wanted to open up the floor for questions, or if anyone needs me to go back to a slide or a piece of information, I can also break that down as well.
Vince?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, Ms. Annette.
Mr. Dorval, should I say. So we was introduced and they said that you would be our best friend. So what are the questions that you see startups, what are we missing primarily when it comes to marketing? Because I've heard someone says, yes, you need, a financial person and, all this for your business. But then they say you need to hire a marketing person first. Can you give me some insight on that?
Yeah, because what businesses tend to do when they are working on the foundational elements of their business is they're really focused on operationalizing their business. And they don't really focus on their brand story. They don't really focus on people learning about their business. So they've operationalized everything, and everything is operationally sound. But if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really fall? Like, that age-old adage is applied to your business. Marketing allows you to build a foundation so that you can do the work for people to find your brand. And when you don't do that initially, you have to backtrack, and you've already built a brand and it may not work for who you're marketing towards. So a lot of the research components that I talked about, a lot of the branding elements, like, I've seen so many people, they're ready to launch without a logo. They're ready to launch and they don't know what their color palette is. So they launch and they have this business, but every presentation looks slightly different. And I see one presentation, like, you pitch to me in January, and then I say, hey, I don't have budget, come back to me in June. And then you pitch a deck with totally different colors, different logo, and I'm confused. I don't remember talking to you. So it's really important for you to start to have all of your visual cues, your brand cues, and then you start to build out the market. Marketing is not like what it was 30, 40 years ago. You're not putting up flyers, you're not doing things like that. So it is imperative now that technologically you have the foundational elements set. If you want a CRM, you have to set it up so that every interaction that you have, you know who you're interacting with and what the potential deal is. Because you won't, if you go to a conference and you meet 300-400 people, you may forget the one that really wants to convert to a deal.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Because marketing is very important, and we need to have it in our first, part of our market need and our targeted audience. That's all speaks to marketing. All right, thank you.
No problem. So next, I see Ms. Strickland.
Yes. First, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge. Very helpful. I guess my question is, do you have a list of individual companies or vendors that we could reach out to for the logos to create logos and maybe give us some ideas on branding? And do you know of anyone that we may be able to use?
Yeah, my company.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
no, I have a branding partner that I work with, and basically, I work with you to really understand your marketing strategy, the audience you're trying to reach. My branding partners will essentially be in the room listening in, and then we have a conversation of what like that market fit is, and then they start to create a brand for you. We give you a couple of brand options, and then you work from there.
Okay, well, I guess my question then is, seeing that you do work for large organization, when it comes to smaller companies like us, like me being a startup, so I'm assuming that you have some better prices for people like us that's just starting out.
Yeah, so my personal brand is for small businesses.
Oh, okay, good.
The consulting that I do for like corporations is a little different.
Okay,
So I charge them a lot, so I can charge you less.
makes sense. Thank you again.
No
Thank you.
problem. Daryl, Miss Burnett.
Yeah, I think my main question is always it's kind of back to your spray and pray method of like, yes, there are so many options for socials. How long, do we start on? You kind of said like, oh, it seems like Facebook and basically Meta Suite might be best for a few of us. So do we start there and just do like normal, posts, nothing too fancy, and eventually if we can get some momentum that way, looking at expand, is it better to then push adverts, just stay in Meta and don't worry about other
So in the beginning, I think you should build out content. Like you should
Mhm.
have, because like if you have a page that has nothing on it and you start advertising and that person navigates to your page, it's a red flag. So I would start to build out organic content that speaks to what your brand is going to be. Use Canva, create like really good branded images. Think about your colors and your logos. Have that in Canva. Consistently give people information or little nuggets so that they can connect with your brand. And I would say for what you do, you might want to be on LinkedIn.
I'm thinking LinkedIn, and honestly, it's weird, but Pinterest seems to be a
Yeah,
good space.
that's a secret space that a lot of brands don't think about. Even um, uh, Miss Jackson, with your boiled peanuts, you'd be surprised. On Pinterest, there's a lot of food content. And if you do recipes or if you give people an idea about the history of the food or whatever the case may be, they can interact with that content. And with virtual assistants, if you show journey maps or different things like user flows of how it helps,
Mhm.
puts that person in the mindset of that, as well as you, Miss Moore. If you start to talk about like, if you do visuals that talk about the savings or the cost of the upfront cost versus the lifetime savings or the lifetime value of solar farms or solar panels, that can help you tell your story, and then people start to think about it in a non-traditional space like Pinterest. So yeah, there are different platforms, and then I also help people design their marketing plan. One of the things that I also do for Greater Wealth Works is I set up a mini consultation session where I hear you out and I start to talk to you about your needs. So if you'd like and you want to just shoot me an email, my email is on screen right there. It's .co, not .com. So feel free to shoot me an email and then we could set up a 30-minute session where I talk to you about what's going on with your brand, and then we can go from there. I know we're at time. If anyone has any additional questions, I can stay for a minute or two. Okay, Ms. King.
I just have one question, and it's really superficial. That page where you showed, I think it was Hootsuite. and the other platforms. Do you have one you like the best? Because I've tried a couple of them. Hootsuite. I've never tried any of the other ones that I've never seen any of the other ones, but Hootsuite I tried and a couple other ones. And I was wondering, do like, do you have one you like best?
I can tell you I can't stand Hootsuite.
I don't like it. I don't like it, which is why I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm very upfront. I don't like Hootsuite. Sprout
I
Social.
understand. I
Yeah,
understand. I don't like it either, which is why I was asking. It was the only one I was familiar with.
yeah,
And I didn't want to like stop you in the middle of your presentation, but
yeah.
one of those, is there another one that you like
I like
that
Sprout
you
Social. I like Sprout Social, and there's one that I didn't put on
okay.
there because it's a little bit more technical. It's called Agora Pulse.
Okay.
I like that one because it has this feature called social listening, which basically you pay a little extra and it find like if you give it a bunch of terms, it'll find where people mentioned it so you can comment.
Okay.
But that's a little bit more complex, and that's for more established brands. Sprout Social,
Yeah, I'm just trying to stay away from Hootsuite again.
yeah.
It's not it sounds good when you're reading all their content and stuff, but it is really a piece of work.
And the funny thing is, some of these other platforms, like these email marketing platforms, and where else? And some of the relationship management platforms, they're starting to layer in social. So sometimes create like a custom marketing suite, technological suite that works for you. But just looking at the slide of the four, you could use any of the other three. I just put Hootsuite up here because of
It is well known. I
well
understand.
known.
Believe
Yeah,
me,
brand
but
recognition.
I hate it. So I was just
No,
wondering.
Loomly is new. I haven't interacted.
Okay.
I hear good things about it. So you
Okay.
might want to look at Loomly. But before you complicate things a little too much, I would get a good understanding of the social platforms themselves and their options. I would run, like if you're running paid campaigns, do it in platform. Learn the pattern. Like it's just like mathematics, show your work at first. You go into platforms, do it the harder way so that you can learn how to go into some of these social media management tools and do it from there. So that's the best approach. As you're starting out, build out, and then also a lot of these platforms will give you a trial period, so you're not stuck. So you try, like, research all of the features and maybe try a couple if you have the time.
Thank you. I just wanted a little recommendation because, like I said, I tried a couple and Hootsuite, but Hootsuite sucks really
Okay,
bad.
cool. Let me just do
Thank
a
you.
quick run through of the platforms because again, I put stuff with name recognition. These are based on need. You may have different needs, like census data that would make sense for the solar panels. And then the Pew Research may make sense for ERP and the virtual assistant, just to see what trends are. And if you're looking for trend analysis on different things in market, you may do Google Trends and stuff based on people's websites as SEM, right? On this page, don't even, like, I added all the other stuff just because, like, one time we had a guy who was a specialist in AI. He would be, for this big bunch of things, like he would probably know what all of these are, but for everyone else, Google Ads, it's self-service. Here, I like Keep, like I said before. There are other tools and platforms. MailChimp, it's kind of like the Hootsuite of email marketing. So I would stay MailChimp and Constant Contact. I don't love Constant Contact. It has the easiest user interface, but a lot of the utility that Keep and some of the newer platforms have isn't there. And then you can, a lot of these sites, they'll have comparison charts that show what their features are versus their competitors. So look up those comparison charts to see where one has more features versus the other. And then, yeah, we talked about these.
All right, I think I'm going to take over at this point because I'm sure Vince, if he could, he would stay here all night long and answer all of you guys' questions. But this is what we talk about added value. We talk about our marketing objective with Greater Worth Works and with this class. This is the type of stuff that you don't expect to get, but because you got it, it's an aha moment. Now, we would expect for every one of you, it's 12 of you, every one of you to talk to somebody that you know looking to start a business and talk to them about this particular course. So that next time we have this course, there should be at least one person that you guys recommended because of your expectations here, because of your experience here. Vince, I am so proud and happy again to have you support this particular program. Your knowledge and your experience is it's so needed. You can see everybody raising their hand, asking the questions, and I'm sure some folks saying, "Hey, I need to get his number. I need to get his email." We already had somebody already requested for a barter with you already on on live, because you are so experienced, and you can show that you really want to give all your knowledge because you want everybody successful. You want everybody to understand and embrace the idea of knowing how to market and why you're doing it. So let me go ahead and just take over real quick and just finish up the last 2 or 3 slides I have here. And Vince, you are going to be available for some folks to work with you and do some one-on-ones with you.
Yeah, so I've extended those one-on-ones to the group, but what I'll do is if I'll give it till Wednesday to schedule time. So whoever can just get some time on my calendar between now and mid-March by this Wednesday, we can schedule that time. Okay,
very good, very good. All right, that's going to be on you all to get on this calendar, or reach out to them ASAP. So as a recap, what is your marketing objective? Again, what do you want your marketing to communicate about you and your business? How will you promote your business? You have multiple ways, and of course, Vince showed you some platforms, some that he liked, some that he didn't like so much. What is your digital marketing strategy going to be? And it's going to be evolving as your business evolves. So will your marketing strategy. All right. So some key takeaways: determine your marketing objective. What do you want your company known for? What do you want your company known in terms of what problems it can solve? Determine your promotional strategies. What strategies will work best with a particular target group? And again, determine your digital marketing action plans. All right, so that's the end of section number 7. On Wednesday, also the homework is that you're going to articulate your marketing objective. Talk to us about, again, answer those questions and let us know what your marketing objective is. And that's going to be due on Friday. Continue working on tweaking your paragraphs for your executive summary down to add marketing objective. On Wednesday, we are going to focus on the last 2 areas of the executive summary: your business operations and your business funding needs. If time permits, we will touch on ways to develop your product, pricing, and sales strategy. I want to at least put my little toe in the water to show you all some of the information, even though that's not required of you for your market day. On the following week, that Monday, the 24th, I will not, I'm not sure if I'm going to make the class. Jameis is going to be hosting the class. I will be in Mexico. I'm going to Mexico on Thursday with my wife, and which was pre-planned date. But I'm going to try to jump in on the class if I have Wi-Fi and the connectivity. But thankfully, Jameis is going to be here, and you're going to hear some additional information about digital marketing. You're also going to hear from Sabrine Francis, our tax consultant, and the Greater Worth Works CFO. He's going to talk to you about tax tips and registering and your entity of your business. So do not miss Monday's class. On the following Wednesday class of next week, once again, we're going to be talking about business funding, micro lending. How do you get your business funded? All right. The great thing is you have this weekend, and you're going to have the rest of next week to complete finalizing your business templates for your market day. All right. On Wednesday, we're going to, again, talk about business operations. This is a preview, as I always give you guys a preview of what we're going to talk about. And so you'll see this on your PDF file tonight when I send it out tonight. Again, same strategy. Answer some questions and then formalize your paragraph based on those answers. All right, it is 8:12. Any other questions? Any other questions? I hope you guys are excited. This is Vince said this is almost going to be like having a fire hose, but it's so much great information. And I know that from last week's presentation and today, I know you all are excited from the reference solutions overview and then Vince's overview. Marketing is where it's at. And the more we embrace it, it can be intimidating, but the more we embrace it, the better we become every single day. Jimmy, if you want to talk something, you want to say something?
I'm just excited about the growth that I can hear. I've been listening to the recordings for the meetings I haven't come to, and I'm just excited to get to this point and to see this class, which I think is going to be coined the most engaged class that we've had in the last, 6 cohorts I've been a part of.
And the most attended.
Yes, for sure. So I'm excited. One of your cohort participants came in person today. Her name is Miss Washington. She's not there on Mondays, but she meets with me weekly to supplement the fact that, because she's actually working on her dissertation, but she thought this class was so important to her that she would take it for her business. So that's what I mean, engagement. So, I can feel it and the synergy's there. So Coach, thank you. And I look forward to next week. We're just going to continue. And Wednesday, we're going to continue the synergy and momentum. So all the best. Just wanted to say those few nuggets before we wrap tonight.
All right. Any questions for me? Any comments? And it's just about a quarter after, and I'm going to let you all go if there's no other questions. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all on Wednesday.
Everyone.
Take
For
care.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Have a good evening.